Hello, guys. Welcome to the new session of our live. Uh, Myself here again, Ashwin. Hope you're all doing good over there. You're all staying home and staying safe. Uh, so I hope you are watching our live sessions. Hope you're making your time right now productive with the with the job you're doing. Basically, what we want to do is we want to make it worthwhile for you guys during this particular time. I know it's a hard time for all of us, so we want to make it as much as productive for you guys. Okay, so make sure you're like updating with the current scenario. We'll be updating you with the latest updates in the softwares of both the BIM softwares as well as the mechanical softwares and PPM softwares as well. Right. So in today's session, we'll be looking into the introduction to the Revit MEP, which basically means I'll be talking with you about the interface of Revit. And I hope you guys watched the video yesterday of my colleague and my friend Mithun. He was describing you about the importance of Revit in BIM. So if you haven't watched the video, I'll be putting up the link below. You can watch the video again after seeing this session. Okay. Now, hope most of you guys have been working with Revit. Maybe you must have worked on the lower version, let's say maybe the 17, 18, or 19 version. Today, I'll be looking into the interface of the 2020 version of Revit, and I'll be telling you what the interface is, like how the interface looks, and what are the differences which happened in the lower version and the new version of Revit. Okay, so let's start the session without any further ado. Let me just close this window, guys. I'll start from the beginning itself. So in between the session, if you have any doubts or any queries regarding the software, or if you want to discuss any new topics in our upcoming sessions, you can put in our live chat. We have enabled it. So whatever the comments you want, you can put in the live chat, and we'll be discussing with you in the later sessions. Okay. So let's start with the Revit session today. And as you can see, for those of you who have worked on the lower versions of Revit, you'll find that the new version, which is the 2020 version, and the 2021, which got released yesterday, will look a bit different compared to the lower version. The main change happened in the recent files window, as you can see. Here, the recent files window looks more bright here compared to the lower version. I hope most of you have seen the lower versions of Revit. You'll get a dark screen with the recent files window in that. And again, on the side, instead of projects, now you have the models here, which again is the project itself. You have the two options here for the models as well as for the families in Revit. You have the option to open an existing project or an existing family, and you have the option to create a new project or a new family in Revit. So you have the two options here to open a new file, sorry, to open an existing file and to create a new file from scratch. Similarly, in the recent files window here, in the older version, if you have noticed, you will see that you can see only up to 4 files which you opened recently. But in the new version, as you can see, we are able to see up to 10 projects or 10 files which you saw recently, which you opened recently in your recent files window. Similarly, for the families, you can see it will be expanded. When you add more or when you open more families, you will see that you can see more families in your recent files window. I think that is a good upgrade coming from the low version to the new version, so that you don't need to go for open every time. You can directly open your recent files from the recent files window. Right. Now, this whole screen here, as you can see, is called the home button. You will notice that now you are not able to see any tabs here, like the architecture tab or the structure tab or the MEP, that is the systems tab, which was noticeable in the lower version is not visible in the current version. Why? Because you will find that here you have the option to click on an arrow over there, which is called back, and when you click on that, you'll be able to get or see the ribbon tabs in Revit. For example, let's say you want to do an option like e-transmit, in which you need to close the whole projects which you have opened so that you can do the e-transmit option. So if you want to do that, you may need to use the back option here, go for the add-ins here, and you can use the transmit option over there. So this is something new again which came in the 2020 version. So in case if you want to switch between the home screen and the back screen, you can click on home here so that you got the home screen here, and you can click here so it goes back to the like you can see the tabs in the Revit. Okay, so this is something I think will be new for you guys who have been working on the lower version of Revit. Okay, now let's start checking the inside or the interface of the Revit when you open the project. Okay, so let me click on the home button again, and I'm going to open a sample project here. So let me open this project for you guys. Right. Right, so we have a sample project open here. I just want to discuss the interface with you guys. So here is what the interface looks like when you open up a project. When you open an existing file, you'll be seeing the project which you created already. Or if you're starting from scratch, or if you're opening a new file, you won't be seeing any like drawings or any links over here. You'll be just getting a blank drawing window over there. Okay, so anyway, we'll start from the we'll start discussing the interface of Revit now. Okay, as you can see in the lower version, when you first look into the interface, you will find a big R symbol over here on the top left corner, which was visible in the lower version of Revit. But now, instead of that, we have all those options compressed into the file option here. So earlier it was called the application menu, but now it all comes inside the file option. So when you click on the file option, guys, you will get all the options which you find similar to the application menu. So you're getting the option to create a new file from scratch, or a family, or a title block, or a symbol, anything from here. You have the option to open an existing family project or any other files which you want to open from your drive or from your server. You have the option to save your file which you're currently working on, or you can also go for save as, where you can save your file as in a different format or in a different location. Okay, we have the option to export our file into different file formats. We'll be discussing more into that in the upcoming sessions, but we do have a lot of different formats in which you can save the Revit file, other than the default Revit, which is a .rvt file. Okay, you have the option to print the page or the sheets from here, and the closing the project. So you have all these options inside the file option now. Okay, instead of the application menu. Now here what you see are different uh, tabs, what we call as the ribbon tabs. You can see there is ribbon tabs for each of the systems or disciplines in Revit. So it's very good actually, so that for someone who is new to the interface, they can easily understand how it works. Like for example, let's say for someone who is dealing with the MEP systems, let's say one person is dealing with the duct systems, he can easily access the duct options. As you can see, it won't be in the architecture, it won't be in the structure, it will be in the systems tab. So they have differentiated or classified the tabs into something so that you can easily understand or get the option which you want from the interface. Okay, So you have the systems tab over here, which is basically what we are going to deal with in the MEP systems. We have the steel structure tab here and the architecture tab over the. If you're clicking on systems tab, you'll find there is options for the MEP systems here. And similarly, we have other tabs like insert, annotate, and it goes on and on, which are some common tabs which we use for all the disciplines, uh, except the mossing and site, which again comes for the architectural part. Okay, so we have all these tabs compressed into Revit so that you can easily understand where the option or the tool which you're going to use will be in the interface. Okay, so this here guys, these are called the ribbon tabs. Okay, now let me click on one ribbon tab here. Let me go for the systems tab, and you will find that it's again divided into something called as panels. Like you can see here, the systems tab has been divided into HVAC panel here, the fabrication, P&AD collaboration, mechanical, plumbing and piping, and here you can see there is electrical, and it goes on again. So what they have done is, again they have grouped that into the particular disciplines. So for someone, again for someone who is new to software, they can easily understand that whatever the electrical components they want, they can easily access it from this particular panel here. So this is called the ribbon tab, and inside we have classified that into panels. Okay, so ribbon tab, these are the ribbon tabs, and these are the panels. Okay, right. So in some of these panels here, you will find there's an arrow coming up like this. Hope you can see that. This, when you click on it, this opens up a dialog. It's called basically a dialog launcher. So when you click on this particular arrow here, it opens up something called as a mechanical settings here. Since I clicked on the HVAC panel, if I'm going to click on the electrical, and if I click on this same arrow over here, I'll be opening up the electrical settings dialog launcher. So we will be discussing about the settings later, but what we uh, what we click on this particular arrow, this is called the dialog launcher. Okay, so we have the dialog launcher over here guys. So in case if you want to add some pipe sizes or duct sizes, or if you want to change some materials or add materials of the pipes or something, you can add it from the settings here. You will see that for both the HVAC panel and the plumbing and piping panel, you'll find the dialog launcher is same, which is the mechanical settings. uh, we'll be discussing that in the upcoming sessions. Okay, so this is what you get in the tabs here. We have the ribbon tabs here, we have the panels here, and we have the dialog launcher over there. Now for some of the tabs, for example the electrical tab, you'll find that here you can see there's a arrow dropping down. So that is called the split window. For example, when I click on this device here, it gets I can see more options inside the device uh, option. So when I click on that drop down, it's called the split window, where you will find more options of devices, like if you want to place a lighting fixture or a fire alarm device or a security or system device, so you can access all that from here. So this guys is what we call as a split window, right? So this comes up in the tabs here, and for some tabs, let me show you an example of it. For example, if you go for the annotate tab, okay, and if you look into the dimension panel here, you'll again find an arrow which is dropping down. This is called the expanded panel or the expanded window, whatever. So we have the expanded panel over here, which shows you more options of the dimension panel. For example, as you can see here, this shows up a lot of different types of dimension which you can create in Revit using these types here. So in case if you want to create a new styles, or if you want to create a new dimension style, in Revit you should be using these options here. Similarly, for the tag, you can see there's a similar expanded window over here, which when you click here, you will see there is an option to load different tags or symbols into your uh, Revit software, okay, or into your project basically. So we have the expanded window over here, guys, so you can check it out. In case if you want to pin that expanded window, you have the option to pin it so that it doesn't go back to the normal position. But I don't prefer this because as you can see it will take up a lot of space in your whole interface, okay. So I'm going to unpin it so that it comes back to the normal position. So at any time you can click over there and you can access those options inside the expanded panel, right? Right. Now we are looking into the top of the Revit where you can see here the quick access window. uh, we have seen quick access window in most of the Autodesk softwares. Even for those who have tried or worked on AutoCAD, you guys have seen the quick access window or quick access toolbar over there, okay. So similarly we have a quick access toolbar over here where you can see there are different options which you can quickly access instead of going over some tabs or some panels here. For example, let's say if you want to go for a 3D view, you can easily click on this option here, which pops up or shows you the 3D view of your model. So instead of going for the view tab and clicking on the 3D view, which takes a bit more time, you can actually use the options up here so that you can quickly use the tools available in the Revit. And we have different options, and we are able to customize the quick access window from here. So in case if you want to add or remove some options or some tools from here, you can do that. Similarly, you can also add more tools into the quick access window. For example, let's say I want to add my duct tool into the quick access window. To do that, you can right click on any tool in the Revit and you will find the option to add into the quick access toolbar. So when I add this into the quick access toolbar, you will find that coming up over here, right? So if I want to create a duct over here now, I don't need to go for the systems tab and clicking on duct. I can directly create the duct over here, okay. As you can see, this is how easily you can access the tools using the quick access toolbar, okay. And at any time if you want to remove it, just right click on the option here and you will be able to see there's an option called remove from quick access, which removes it from the quick access toolbar, okay. Now here basically what they're showing is the title of your project here, okay. And onto the side of that we have what we call as the info center, where you can use the help or search option here, which pops up a search here. So in case if you want to search for something in Revit, you can click on this search option and you can search for a particular option. Similarly, here you can sign in to your Autodesk account, or you can switch between your Autodesk accounts using this particular option here. You also have the option to go to the App Store or the Autodesk App Store, where you can purchase some add-ins, or even you have some free add-ins which you can download uh, to make it more easy for you to work on the project, okay. And at the end we have the help option, which pops up the help in your default browser, okay. So we have the info center over here, guys, okay. So this is what we have on the top of the Revit. So we have the quick access, the ribbon tabs here. We have the panels below that. We have other windows like expanded window and the split window over inside the ribbon tabs or the panels. And we have the quick access toolbar, which if you want, you can also make it below the ribbon, as you can see, or you can also make it visible on the top of the ribbon. That's up to you, okay. Now let's talk about the drawing window over here. This portion here, as you can see, this is what we call as the drawing window. uh, Whatever you create or whatever you are creating, the project you're working on, the visibility of that project will be here in the drawing window. And towards the two sides here, as you can see, I've added two what we call as a project browser and the properties panel over the two sides here. So the project browser is something which we use so that it will be easy for you to switch between the views and all. It includes everything that you create in the project. For example, let's say I want to switch quickly into the electrical floor plan. So from here, as you can see, we have the floor plan over here. So clicking on that floor plan, you will notice that now I'm able to open up the floor plan of the particular project. Okay. Okay. So similarly, if you want to switch between different views in Revit, or even if you want to see the reports you created or the sheets which you created, even to delete the families from Revit, you should be using the project browser for that. Okay, so we have the project browser here on the left side, which you can customize. I'll show you that. And similarly, we have the properties panel, which you will find here towards the right here. So I placed it on the right so you guys can see it separately. The properties panel is something which shows you the properties of a component which you click on. For example, if I'm selecting this particular duct here, I can see the properties of it from the properties panel. Like I can see it is a rectangular duct of a particular fittings we are using here. It is using a metered elbow here. It is a it's a supply duct here with the size of 425 by 350. I can see more parameters from the properties panel. So we have the properties panel here and the project browser over here. In case if some of you guys are using a small screen when you're working on Revit, you can actually drag your properties panel and you can put it up along with the project browser, so that it takes less space of your whole interface, and you can switch between the project browser and properties panel by clicking on this options here. Like you can see there is properties now here and the project browser on the other side. Okay, so in case if you want to save your overall space of Revit, you can do this. You can combine both and add it to one single uh, window here. Okay, and if you want to put it back to the normal position, you can drag it again and you can keep it over here. Okay, so hope you are catching up with that project browser and the properties panel, which is very important, guys. Now, when you look into the drawing window here, you will find a similar setup here, just like as I told you, just like the other Autodesk softwares. We have the navigation bar over here, which enables you to turn on any navigation options. Like in case if you're not using a mouse and you want to see, like you want to rotate your whole project, or you want to zoom in, zoom out, or something like that, you can easily use the navigation wheel by left clicking on it. And 1 second. Yeah, so you'll find the navigation wheel coming up over here. So using just the left mouse button, you can actually zoom in and zoom out of your project. You can use the orbit to rotate the project. We have different options like even rewind, which means they will be showing you the earlier view which you saw in the project. So in case if I want to see this view here, I can switch to that view. So you can see I'm getting the particular view over here, and the pan option, which is basically the move in Revit. Okay, so in case if you guys are not having a mouse, or if you guys find it hard to work on the mouse, you can use it. But I would recommend having a mouse when you're working on Revit, and try using the navigation using the mouse. Okay, so let me close this window. So we have the navigation bar over here, and we have the view cube over here. So in case if I zoom in a lot and I don't want to zoom out again, if I want to see the default 3D view in the Revit, you can actually click on this particular option here, the home button, which will show you the default 3D view here. You can also use this option to switch between different views. As you can see, when I click on the corner here, they're showing me the particular isometric view sort of. Okay, if you want to see the right view, you can click on right and they will show you the right view. So we have the view cube, which will help you to switch or see a particular view in your drawing window. So in case if you're not finding the navigation bar or the properties or the project browser, you can easily get it back into Revit drawing window or your interface by going to the view tab and clicking on user interface. If you drop down, you will find there are various like options which you can untick or tick on. For example, in this case, I want the project browser to be turned on again. I want the properties as well as the navigation bar. So you can see it all came back here by using the view tab and clicking on the user interface drop down. So you can untick or tick on it as per your wish. In case if you're not planning to use the navigation bar, you can just untick it from your so that it won't be visible in your drawing window. Okay, now coming to the bottom part of Revit, we have basically two different toolbars or panels here. We call it as toolbars here. So what we have here is called the view control toolbar, which will help you to control the views. For example, as you can see here, you have the option to change the scale of your particular view. You have the option to change the graphic display options or your graphic style. For example, if I want to make it realistic, you'll find that now your whole model is getting more realistic with the materials and all that. And if you want to make it less loaded in your project, like let's say you have a big project and you find it very hard to navigate uh, in your system for that project, you can make it in shaded or wireframe so that it will be much less loaded in your system. Okay, so you have the graphical display options here. So basically the options in through which you can control the views will be coming up over here. Okay, again we will be discussing that in the upcoming sessions of our live sessions in the channel. Now similarly, on the other side, on the left bottom corner, you will find an option here called the selection toggles. Sorry, so this here is called the selection toggles, which again is something which we use for uh, controlling the selection of elements in your software. For example, let's say I'm selecting this particular item, okay, and I'm going to pin that item. Pinning means like once you pin an item, you won't be able to drag or move it to some other position. Okay, so let me pin this particular item here. Okay, so you can see this item here is now pinned. Okay, you can see there's a pin symbol over here. Now when I select the items here, let's say I want to select all these items here, they're also selecting the items which I pinned, right? Let's say I don't want to do that, or I don't want to select the item which I pinned, because as you know, I want to make it over there. I don't want to modify that in any case. Okay, so what I can do is I have these options over here to toggle between the selection. Here I have the option to select pinned elements option, which if I turn off, now when I drag and select the items here, you will notice that the item which I pinned is not getting selected. Why? Because I've turned off the option called select pinned elements. So in case if you want to control your selections, you have the options over here. You can even use a select link option to select the link or unselect the link. I mean, you have the options to control the selections using the selection toggles here. Okay, now the bottom right corner, sorry, the bottom left corner of your Revit, you will find here the status bar, which shows you the status of your project. It will show you the options. For example, when I click on an option like duct here, they're going to show you what I have to do next. As you can see, they're showing that I have to click to enter a duct starting point. So let me click on our starting point here. So they ask me next that to select the duct endpoint, and you can see they're showing me that it's now a horizontal duct here. You can see here over here, okay? So which shows you the status of your project or the item which you're creating. So basically if you want to see or get some small help from Revit, you can actually click on an item and you can see the status over here. So it will show you the status of the particular item, okay? And below we have the options for the collaborations and all, for the work sharing options, which we'll be discussing in the upcoming sessions. uh, I hope you got some idea regarding the interface of Revit. For those of you who have been working on the lower version, you will find it similar. But for those of you who are new to the software, you can hope you understood from this session. And I think, I mean, for the insert tab here, you'll find that now you are getting the option to import or insert the PDF files into your Revit, which came in the last year. uh, in the 2021 we have more options. We'll be having a session talking about the new features of Revit 2021, maybe in the later session. um, so I hope you are clear with the session which we took today. uh, if you have any doubts or if you want to discuss any topics in our upcoming sessions, please do put it in the live chat or in the comments below. So we'll be discussing that in the upcoming sessions, okay? Right. So let me wind up the session for you guys. We'll be winding up the live session today. We have more live sessions coming up this week. Don't miss it out. Uh, we have the SolidWorks training coming up tomorrow by my colleague and my friend, Mr. Nijesh. He'll be discussing the SolidWorks part, like the software. He'll be introducing it to you. Don't miss it out, guys. It will be very informative for you guys. So uh, we'll see more regarding the Revit and the Revit MEP sessions every Tuesday at the same time, 9:30 a.m. Of UAE time and 11 a.m. in India. So we'll be seeing at the same time every Tuesday. Hopefully, you can make it more productive during this time from our sessions. Okay. So thank you guys. Thank you for being with us. We'll see more in the upcoming sessions. Thanks a lot. Thank you.